All right, ready to dive into a story that's got it all.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
We're talking family drama, uh, jealousy, like betrayal, even some ancient dream interpretation. Buckle up, because we're going straight into the book of Genesis.
Right.
And the epic tale of Joseph and his brothers.
A story for the ages. I mean, It's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it grapples with those like universal themes,
Yeah.
family dynamics, ambition, the consequences of our choices.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So we're in Canaan with Jacob, who, after a pretty wild ride himself, has settled down and fathered 12 sons.
12 sons.
Each representing a different tribe of Israel. But let's be real, things aren't exactly harmonious in Jacob's house.
Mm-hmm.
It seems even back then, parents had a hard time keeping things completely fair among their kids.
Yeah, well, the text is very clear. Jacob has a favorite.
Right.
And that's Joseph. But it's not just like whispered favoritism,
Right.
Jacob makes a bold move, really, that sets the stage for some serious sibling rivalry.
Okay.
He gives Joseph a magnificent, multicolored tunic.
Wow.
Imagine this stunning, ornate robe in
Yeah.
a time when most people wore, simple tunics.
Right.
It's a blatant declaration of Jacob's preference.
Yeah.
And you can bet it didn't sit well with his brothers.
Oh, I bet that went over like a lead balloon. Talk about a way to make your kids compete for your affection. It's like giving one kid a brand new car on their 16th birthday while the others are stuck with hand-me-down bikes.
Precisely. This wasn't just a fashion faux pas. It represented a power imbalance. We see the ripple effects throughout the entire story.
Wow.
And Joseph, young, maybe a little naive, just 17.
Oh, 17.
Doesn't help the situation.
Oh, no. What'd he do?
He reports his brother's misdeeds to their father, which just further fuels their resentment and really, paints a target on his back.
Oh, man. 17 and already rocking the world's favorite sash.
Right.
It's no wonder his brothers were a tad jealous.
Yeah.
But things get even more intense when dreams enter the picture.
And not just any dreams. These are, vivid, symbolic dreams.
Okay.
That speak to Joseph's future. In his first dream, he sees himself and his brothers binding sheaves of grain in a field. And all of a sudden, his sheaf rises and stands tall, and all of his brothers' sheaves are bowing down to his. Now, you have to remember that in ancient Near Eastern culture, dreams were considered powerful omens.
Right.
They weren't just fleeting thoughts. They were seen as messages from the divine.
So in that context, sharing this dream with his brothers, even innocently, would have been like dropping a bomb into an already volatile situation.
Exactly. The dream, regardless of Joseph's intention, could be interpreted as a claim to power.
Right.
It played on those existing fears that he would one day rule over them.
Wow. You have to wonder, was Joseph being a bit of a show-off, or was he just caught up in the awe of this powerful dream? Either way, the damage was done.
And he doesn't stop there. Joseph has a second dream that's even more audacious. This time he sees the sun, moon, and 11 stars bowing down to him. Now imagine the impact of this imagery. The sun and moon represented the most powerful celestial bodies, often associated with rulers, authority figures.
So he's gone from sheaves bowing down to celestial bodies. It's almost like he's saying, hey, everyone, get ready to bow to King Joseph. I can only imagine the look on his brothers' faces. It's like he's pouring gasoline on an already raging fire.
Oh, absolutely. Their reaction is just a potent mix of anger, fear,
Oh, yeah.
and probably a good dose of, did he really just say that?
Yeah.
This second dream just confirmed their deepest fears. It really pushed them closer to the edge. Even Jacob, who usually indulges Joseph, recognizes the audacity of these dreams. He even questions Joseph, almost warning him, will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?
You'd think that would be a wake-up call for Joseph. Like, hey, maybe tone down the dream sharing a little bit. But this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of family drama.
Right. And the location plays a crucial role in the escalating tension. We find the brothers tending their father's flocks in Shechem, a significant cultural and religious center, and later in Dothan, which is a more isolated region.
So they're pretty far from home, far from their father's watchful eye. That's never a good sign when you're already dealing with simmering sibling rivalry.
Exactly. The distance becomes a dangerous catalyst. It isolates Joseph, making him vulnerable to the resentment that's been brewing among his brothers. And what's fascinating is that the text doesn't portray this as a spontaneous act of anger.
Right.
It explicitly states that the brothers conspired against him to kill him. This was premeditated.
Wow, that's chilling. They weren't just messing around, they were plotting murder. That's how deep their resentment ran.
The text doesn't shy away from the raw emotions at play here. Their jealousy had festered, fueled by a sense of injustice and the perceived threat of Joseph's dreams. They were ready to eliminate the problem, quite literally.
So here comes Joseph, completely oblivious, strolling into this lion's den. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. What happens next?
So picture this. The brothers see Joseph approaching from a distance, his brightly colored tunic shimmering in the sun.
Oh, no.
It's like a stark visual reminder of their father's favoritism. They recognize him, their anger boils over, and they're ready to act on their murderous plan.
It's like something out of a Greek tragedy. You almost want to yell at Joseph to turn around while he still can.
It's a pivotal moment, showcasing the dark side of human nature, even within the bonds of family. But just as they're about to strike, Reuben, the eldest brother, intervenes.
Reuben, the voice of reason in this chaotic family drama.
Well, it's complex. He pleads for Joseph's life, suggesting they throw him into a nearby pit instead of killing him outright. The text leaves his motives open to interpretation.
Okay.
Was it genuine compassion for his younger brother, or a calculated move to buy time and potentially rescue him later?
That's interesting. On one hand, he's saving Joseph from immediate death, but on the other, he's still leaving him trapped in a pit.
Precisely. And that ambiguity adds a fascinating layer to Reuben's character. But while they're deciding what to do with Joseph, a group of Ishmaelite traders appears on the horizon, a caravan heading towards Egypt.
Talk about a plot twist. I can already see where this is going.
This seemingly random encounter becomes a turning point in the story. For the brothers, these traders present a convenient, albeit morally reprehensible, solution to their Joseph problem.
So instead of getting their hands dirty, they could get rid of Joseph and eat profit from it.
Okay.
I'm guessing this is where Judah steps in.
You're right. Judah, often portrayed as the pragmatic one, sees an opportunity. He argues, what will we gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. He appeals to their sense of self-preservation,
Right.
suggesting that selling Joseph is the better, or at least less, messy option.
So even in their wickedness, there's a twisted logic at play. They're trying to justify their actions, even to themselves.
And it's that complexity that makes this story so compelling. They're not simply villains. They're driven by recognizable human emotions, fear, jealousy, ambition,
Right.
emotions that can cloud judgment and lead to devastating choices.
It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the people closest to us can inflict the deepest wounds. But the fact that they sell Joseph instead of killing him outright, does that hint at a shred of conscience?
Perhaps. Or maybe it was simply the easier path. They agree to sell Joseph, and the text tells us they received 20 shekels of silver in exchange for their brother. Imagine that, reducing a human life, their own flesh and blood, to a mere transaction.
It's heartbreaking. 20 shekels, the price of betrayal.
And a stark reminder of the brutality of the ancient world where slavery was a harsh reality. They strip Joseph of his magnificent tunic, that symbol of their father's favor, and toss him into a caravan heading towards Egypt.
Leaving him to face an uncertain and terrifying future. But what about Jacob? How do they explain Joseph's sudden disappearance?
They concoct a cruel and elaborate lie, a deception that adds another layer of betrayal to the story.
Okay.
They slaughter a goat, dip Joseph's tunic in its blood, and present it to their father as evidence that Joseph was killed by a wild animal.
That's just cruel. They weaponize the very symbol of Jacob's love against him. It's hard to imagine the pain and anguish he must have felt.
The text describes Jacob's grief as overwhelming. He tears his clothes, puts on sackcloth, and mourns for Joseph, believing him to be dead. He's completely consumed by this manufactured tragedy, blind to the truth that his sons, driven by their own darkness, orchestrated the whole thing.
It's like they ripped his heart out twice. Once by taking Joseph, and then again by playing on his deepest fears with that bloody tunic.
It's a masterful, albeit heartless, manipulation. It really highlights the depths of their deceit and the devastating consequences of their actions. I mean, they've successfully removed Joseph from their lives, at least for now, but at what cost?
Yeah.
They fractured their family and left their father utterly heartbroken.
And poor Jacob. He's left to pick up the pieces, none the wiser about the truth. It makes you wonder where you even go from there. Like, how do you begin to heal from that kind of wound?
That's the question that hangs heavy over the rest of the story, right? It's a reminder that our choices, however small they may seem in the moment, can have profound and lasting impacts on those around us.
Yeah.
And while the brothers may have thought they'd solved their Joseph problem, this is really just the beginning of a much larger saga.
Because we know this isn't the end for Joseph. Despite their cruelty, he ends up in Egypt, a land full of its own complexities and opportunities. It makes you wonder if maybe, just maybe, those dreams he had weren't just arrogance, but a glimpse into a future that even he couldn't fully comprehend yet.
Precisely. This story isn't just about betrayal and loss. It's about resilience, about the surprising ways in which fate can intervene. Joseph's journey is far from over. In fact, his story becomes central to the future of Jacob's entire family.
Wow, so the brothers thought they were cutting him down, but they might have inadvertently set the stage for something much bigger. Talk about an unexpected twist.
This story keeps you on the edge of your seat, right?
Yeah.
It reminds us that life is rarely black and white.
Right.
It's full of moral complexities, difficult choices, and unexpected turns.
It's a reminder that we're all capable of both darkness and light, and that even in the midst of terrible betrayal, there can be seeds of hope and redemption. This deep dive into Joseph's story has been quite a journey.
Indeed, from the dynamics of a deeply flawed family to the power of dreams and the enduring strength of the human spirit, it offers a lot to unpack. What resonates most with you?
Honestly, it makes you think about the complexities of family relationships and the long shadows cast by jealousy and betrayal. But it also leaves you with this glimmer of hope, wondering how Joseph will navigate this new chapter of his life, and how those dreams, the very ones that ignited this whole drama, might ultimately be the key to a brighter future, not just for Joseph, but for his entire family.
It's a story that stays with you long after you've heard it, prompting reflection and perhaps even a bit of introspection. What would you have done if you were faced with similar choices?
It's definitely a lot to ponder. So until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the stories that shape our world.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Toby, Eleanor, and our team of researchers are working hard to produce more episodes. If you value what we're doing here, please consider subscribing and sharing the word. Additionally, our podcast, RSS, and Patreon links can be found below. Listener support is what makes our work possible. Join us next time for another deep dive. God bless.